Hello and welcome to this session. In this session, we will learn how we can run GET and POST requests in REST Assured. In REST APIs, we can use different HTTP methods like GET, POST, PUT, PATCH, delete, head options, etc. And just in case you are completely new to REST APIs or RESTful web services, I will suggest that you can go on my website automationstepbystep.com, and here if you go to the API section, I have a course and a tutorial here on API web services basics, where you can learn the basics of REST and SOAP web services. So this is something you can check in case you are completely new. And let us now start and see how we can use REST Assured to run a GET and POST request. So I will go to my Eclipse, and this is the project we created in the last session, and I will go to src test java and tests package. And in the earlier session, we have already created tests examples class where we have created some get requests already. So I'm going to create a new class. I will go to the tests package, do a right click, new, and create a class, and I will name this get and post examples and create the class, and the class is created here. So here we have already seen some get requests. Let me very quickly show you one more request, and I'm going to use the same website for now, reqres.in, which has some fake REST APIs. In the next session, I will show you how you can create your own REST API, and you can create a local server on your local system and then host your API. But for this session, let me use these APIs. Also, just in case this website is down at your time or it is not available, you can use any other example, any other APIs, your own APIs also for testing. So here we have this get API. So I will create a function. I will say public void, let me say test get, and to create it as a testng test, I will give the annotation at test, and make sure that you import it from testng. So I'm importing from org.testng.annotations. And now here let me also import the rest assured class here. So I will say import io.restassured, and I will also say dot rest assured class and dot star. And to use the methods directly, I can make it as a static import. I will say static, and now I can directly use the methods in rest assured class. So I will say here I can first create a base URI, and I will say base URI equals to, if I look at the URL or the endpoint of this API, so this is the endpoint or the URL. I will make this equal to this, and this will be the endpoint from users. So let me delete this, and this is the base URI. Now I will say given, and I can directly say get, and I can use the URI or the endpoint, which is this one. I'll copy this and say this get this particular URI or this particular endpoint, then I will check status code is 200. So a very simple thing which we have already seen. Now I can also say, let me put this in different lines for easy readability, and this is then, and then the status code. Now I can also say body, and I can give the location of some particular parameter. For example, if I want to check the first name here, so this is data and index 0 first name. I have already shown you in the last session. You can also use JSON path finder to get the JSON path. So for this particular API, I'll copy the JSON response, go to the JSON pathfinder and put it here, beautify, and here let me say I want to get the first name from, let us say I want to get this first name George, which is at index position 4. So if I click this, you can see I have got this JSON path. I can copy this from here and I will put this here. So this particular first name should be equal to, and for equal to I need to get the matcher imported. So if I go to my last class, the earlier class, I want to get this import. So I'll copy this and do the import here, and now I can say equal to, and I will say here George. And then also let us say if I want to check in the first names, so first name is like a collection, it has George and then we have Rachel and then we have Byron and so many other first names. Just I want to check that this particular collection has the items that I want to check. I can also say here body, and I can give the location, that is data dot first name. So you can see I'm not providing any index position. I'm just saying that this first name collection has items and this is again coming from the matcher, and I can put the items here like George and Rachel and so on, and that's it. I will give a semicolon at the end and I will run this. I will do a right click, run as testng test, and let us see the output. So there is a failure. Let me quickly check the failure here. So here it says so it expected a collection containing all this, but here actual is this. So here let me see, we should be providing this in a proper sequence maybe. Okay, so yeah, so Rachel was you can see the name spelling is different, it is Rachel. Let me change this and check again. George is fine, so let me change the spelling of Rachel and run this again, and this should be fine now. And yes, you can see everything is fine now and it is running fine. So this is how you can very quickly create a GET request. We have already seen some examples earlier. Now when we go to post, if I show you the post request here, so in post we also have to provide a body or a payload. Now how to deal with this, let us see. I will create a new function. I will say public void, and I will say test post, and I will also make it as a testng test. So now the first thing I have to do is I have to create the body. So I have to create this body. Now there are multiple ways to do that. I can use a map. For example, I can say map, and if I press Control spacebar, so you can see we have got this map here. So here I will say map, and map is a key value collection. So we provide a key and the value, and I can give any variable name, map equals new hash map. So if I check, you can see it has imported from Java util hash map and Java util map. So you can also import these two libraries, and then here I can just say map and the key value. I have to give the data type of the key value. So you can see here the key is a string and the value is also a string. Usually the key is always string and values can be anything. It can also be number, integer. So a good way is I will put key as string and value as object, so that it can take any data type. And the same thing I will do here, string and object. Now in a moment I will show how you can use some JSON libraries as well. I'm just going from scratch. So now I have got this map created, and this is the name I have given to the map. Now using this map variable, I can say map dot put, and I can put the key and value here. So let us say key here is name, and the value, whatever value I want. So this is the body I want to create. So I will say here name, and I can put any value. Let us say Raghav here, and then I will again say map dot put. Now in the coming sessions we will also see how we can create some advanced JSON requests, but for now let us just see this one. I will say job and teacher, and that's it. I have created my map. If I print it, I will say SYSO control spacebar to auto complete the print statement, and I'm going to print the map. So I will save this. Also let me comment out the first test so that it does not run this test. And now I will run the test and see the output. So if I go to the console, you can see it is printing this map. Now if you see, this is not actually a JSON request. So the JSON request should be something like this, where we have these curly brackets and then all this is within double quotes. So for that I can either give a double quote by using a escape character, which is a backslash, and can say something like this. And if I do this and run it again, you will see the name is within quotes. So you can see the name has come under quotes, and I can usually similarly um, make changes everywhere, but this will be very time consuming, and also this is not a right way. There will be some issues somewhere, and I will have to convert it to a JSON string later on. So the best way is you can add some JSON libraries. If I go to Maven Central repository, here I can search for some JSON libraries. So we have multiple JSON libraries. We have JSON, and this is from Google. So if I search for this, you can see this is a library. We have Jackson, and this is again a JSON library. So you can see this is Jackson, and it is a high performance JSON processor. We also have a library called JSON, and this is the library JSON. Then one of the commonly used is JSON simple, and this again is from Google. So you can see this is the JSON simple library. So let me use this one. I will go here and go to the version and copy the Maven dependency, and now I will go to my pom.xml here and add the dependency. So I'll go and just copy the dependency here and save the project so that the library is added. And you can also check in your Maven dependencies, you will find the JSON library added. So you can see JSON simple is here. So now I can use this. I will go back to my class here, and now I can now say JSON object, and if you press Control spacebar, you will see this is coming from org.json.simple, and you can give any name, or I will say request equals new JSON object, and I can put my map here. Whatever map I have created, I will put here. And now if I print out the request, I'm just printing out this request, and let us see the difference now. I will run this again, and you can see here, this was my map, and after converting to JSON object, this is how it looks like. So this is something I can use in the body. I can also say request dot to JSON string, so that I'm just validating, and I'm just making sure that it converts into a JSON string. So you can see this is the output. So I can use like this, and then I can use it in the body of the post request, or if I'm already using a JSON library, I can directly use it without using a map. So let us say I comment out this. I will select everything and say control and forward slash on my keyboard to comment multiple lines, and I will also remove map from here, and I can directly say here now request dot put, and I will put the key and value like I have done in the map. So I'm just copying it from here, and I will put the key and value here, and similarly I will say request dot, I will put the second line, which is this one, and like this, and that's it. If I now run it, so you can see I have commented out the map. I'm just using the JSON object, and then I'm putting the values here. So if I run this, and you can see I'm still getting a JSON object here. So now I can use this. So I will say I'm going to use the base URI, which is the same as above. I'm going to copy this base URI, and I'll put this here, and then I will say given, and now I have to first create a body. So I will say body is this request. So I will say request, and to make sure it converts into a JSON string, I can say to JSON string, and then I can say when I do a post, and I have to give the URI where I have to post. So if I go to my post request and I click on this, I can get the endpoint, which is forward slash users, and I have already given the base URI here. So I just say forward slash users here, and then I will say then I can check the status code. Status code is 201. So for a successful creation, status code is 201. If you just check for HTTP status codes on Google, you can see different status codes. So you can see these are the different status codes here, and you can see all the 100s are for information, the 200s are for success, 300s are for redirection, 400s are for client error, and then 500s for server error. And you can also see the same thing here. So you can see this, and if I check for 200 is for OK and 201 is for successful creation. So if it is a successful post or the resource gets created successfully, I should get 201 here. The same thing is shown here. So let me check the status code is 201, and also let me do some indentation so it is easy to read. So I am using this request, and let me check this. I will run this and check. So this is fine, this is running fine, everything is pass. And if I also say dot log and dot all, so that I can check the response on my console. Let me save and run again. So here if I check my console, you can see here I am also getting the response. So I am also getting all this created here, and this is what I am getting from the server. ID is given as 438 and created at this particular time. So this is fine. Now in normal REST request, we will also have some headers. So you can also say here header. Before posting, I can add some headers. I can say header, and for example, let us say the header is content type and the value is, so this should be capital C and capital T, and this should be application JSON. So you will know what is the headers for your APIs. So I can use headers like this. So I can send headers like this, or I can also say content type, and I will say the content type is JSON. So here I am telling the server the content I am sending to you is of type JSON, and then I can also say dot accept, and I can again say content type dot JSON. So here I am saying, here I am telling the server, so in this case, even if I do not use this header, this is fine. I am explicitly saying and telling the server the content I am sending to you is of type JSON, and the response I will accept should also be of type JSON. So you can also run this and check, and you can see this is all running fine and our test is passed. So this is how we can create a post request. In the coming sessions we will create some more post requests, and we will see how we can handle different types of bodies in post request. So I hope this session was very useful for you. Do share your knowledge with others and let me know if you have any issues, and thank you for watching.